Have you ever had a look at an urban landscape photo and how on earth did a photographer make this happen? Or how you can emphasize speed like in this one? Maybe you would like to freeze motion. Let's find out about shutter speeds in this video. Whether you are photographing the bustling city life or serene landscapes, understanding shutter speed is absolutely essential. In this video, I do have some assignments for you right at the end after explaining all this and how we can be creative using shutter speeds. So let's start. Shutter speed is the length of time your camera shutters is open to expose light into your camera's sensor. Imagine your eye blinking. How long you keep your eyes open determines how much you see. Fast shutter speeds freeze motion, while slow shutter speeds capture the flow of movement. These can be used creatively in many different ways. Shutter speeds are measured in seconds or fractions of seconds, like 1/1000th of a second, 1/500th of a second, 1/250 of a second, 1 second, 5 seconds, and so on and so forth. A slow shutter speed can blur motion, which is great for showing motion or movement. So let's try some different shutter speeds, and here is one where I shot 1/250th of a second. It's not really that creative, and it's just, I don't even know what I'm looking at here. Then I have another photo shot at 1/125th of a second. So there's a little bit more going on here, and I can clearly see what is the subject, or it becomes clearer what is the subject. Then I've shot this at 1/60th of a second. Now we can really see something creative going on in the image, and you can see how a slower shutter speed is used to emphasize movement. And here finally, I think I nailed it, making it much more interesting with a shutter speed of 1/30th of a second. And you can play with shutter speeds for creativity. So fast shutter speeds usually be where you want to freeze motion, like in sports, in wildlife photography, and stuff like that. Slower shutter speeds I think is more interesting when you want to shoot running water, for example. It gives you this nice blurry movement of a waterfall, or you want to have these traffic lights or light trails. It's excellent to use very slow shutter speeds. So in my time-lapse Tokyo video, where I did only time-lapse photography in Tokyo, I think it was 5 years back, I use mostly slow shutter speeds to emphasize movement and create my images or my time lapses a little bit more interesting. You can watch that video up here if you want to check it out. Shutter speeds affect the exposure. So if you have a fast shutter speed, that means you get less light into your sensor. And the other way around, with slower shutter speeds, you get more light into the sensor. You can adjust the ISO of your camera, we'll get back to that in a later video, to expose for this. But if you have a slower shutter speeds, you should also have your camera on a stable surface or on a tripod like I use to avoid shaky photos, unless that is what you are after. I think that if you make shaky photos with a slow shutter speeds on purpose, that can give you a really cool effect, like in this photo right here. Something to have in mind if you want to be creative with shutter speeds. Before we continue over to the assignments that you can do today, that is shutter speeds made really simple. Remember that photography is all about experimentation, so you can do some really cool things with different shutter speeds. Now for the assignments that you can go out and do hopefully today to see this in practice. Okay, let's call the first assignment the Moving Subject Challenge, where the objective is to understand the effect of different shutter speeds on a moving subject. And you of course need your camera with adjustable shutter speeds. And I would recommend that you go out somewhere where there's traffic, where you can keep a safe distance, obviously, like on the sidewalk or something like that. And you try to capture scooters or cars or whatever it is that drives past you in different shutter speeds. So we'll take this as an example again, where I shot at 1/250th of a second, and we did not see much creativity going on there. But as we slow the shutter speeds and try to capture while tracking the subjects with our camera with these slower shutter speeds, you can clearly see that you can get some really creative effects. And I did the exact same thing just yesterday actually to make examples for this video, and I was quite happy with some of the results. Most of the photos were shot at 1/60th and 1/30th of a second, depending on how fast my subject was driving or moving. So that's something to think about. Also, think about the background. If you have a colorful background, like I was very lucky yesterday, you get a more interesting image. Another thing you can do is if you find a stationary subject like this scooter right here, you can try and focus there and hold your camera really still. A tripod helps here, and you can capture the moment as other scooters pass by. You can get some really cool effects there as well. So I hope you go out now after watching this and try this for yourself. It's super fun, and even if you have all the experience in the world, this is a great challenge to do, especially if you have those colorful backgrounds like I was very lucky with yesterday. The next assignment is also super fun. I recommend doing this at night, and you need a stable surface or preferably a tripod. I use a small tripod, the Cobra 3 from iFootage, but that's a different story. Try to find an intersection or traffic where you can have an overview of the traffic, like in this photo right here. Then you set your camera to a shutter speed of 1 second and you take it from there. Then you increase to 2 seconds, 5 seconds, even 10 seconds. So you can see how you have these light trails in your image when you change to longer and longer exposures. It's really fun, especially in urban settings, but this can also be done at street level if you don't have this overhead bridge or whatever where you can overlook traffic. You can really be creative with this, and the faster your subjects, cars in this case, move, the longer trails you will have depending on your shutter speeds. But again, you have to go out and practice to see how this works in real life. And that's exactly what I want you to do right now. Let me know how it went for you down in the comments. That would be really cool to see. And if you like this video, you can hit thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. That would be awesome. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.